Well, the Commission doesn't change its processes from one election to another. The changes come in a big way. But certainly in the middle of conducting elections, unless it is absolutely inevitable, you don't change processes. So it's more or less the same process. Unlike the previous election where we had 3 ballot boxes, distinguished by the color of lead of the boxes, were the green for House of Representatives, we had the black for senatorial, and the red for presidential. On Saturday for state elections, we're going to have 2 ballot boxes for governorship and for state assembly elections. In the FCT area, in the FCT where we're going to have the area council elections, there will also be 2 ballot boxes. One for election of chairmen of the area councils and the other one for the election of councillors for the council. So it is basically the same. The size of the ballot paper for governorship election depends on the number of parties contesting for an election in a particular state. And then it varies depending on the state. But for the state elections, state assembly elections, we are going to have all the political parties on the ballot papers because it's very difficult customizing the ballot papers to 991 constituencies, with the risk that if you omit the logo of a political party from the ballot paper, the party can, after the election, approach the election petition tribunals and argue that it has been unlawfully excluded, and the penalty is nullification of the election. So I've been very careful in that respect. However, where there are clear-cut court orders that party A or party B should not be on the ballot, we took care to ensure that the party is not on the ballot. In terms of processes and procedure, it's the same thing. Voters will be accredited by the use of the smart card reader, compatible with the PVCs that the Commission issued. And thereafter, if they're successfully accredited, they'll be issued with 2 ballot papers. They move into the voting cubicles, make their choices, and then drop the ballot papers into the relevant ballot boxes for the election. As always, because of this menace of vote buying, we are advising voters that they shouldn't go into the voting cubicles with their mobile phones or any photographic device, but they are free to use their mobile phones within the vicinity of the polling units. So it's the same process and the same procedure. The reason for creating the voting points is that the nation generally is underserved by polling units. And when the last Commission tried to create additional 30,000 polling units before the 2015 general elections, it became such a hot issue, the Commission dropped the idea. But yet there was a practical problem to solve. So the Commission decided to create what we call the voting points. You have the polling unit, but in approximate location, break the register and create additional voting points so that you have a maximum of 500, depending on the number of registered voters in a particular place. It hovers between 350 and 500 registered voters in a particular polling place, so that people can vote easily and go home or wait and observe the processes until the processes are concluded. But they are in close proximity. It's not that you have the parent unit in Gwarimpa and then you have to go to Gariki or somewhere to get the voting point. Secondly, for each voting point created, the register of voters in that particular polling place is pasted on the wall, so that if you arrive and go to a polling unit and your name is not on the register, you just move to the class next door. It's usually in public schools. And then check on the wall. If your name is on that register, you vote there. So it is not that they are separated by a considerable distance, such that someone voted in 2015 in a particular place. Now we are saying that you should go to a totally different place. Area that requires some discussion, particularly after the conclusion of the elections. We need a big-time discussion with the judiciary. The truth is that under our Constitution, once a court makes a pronouncement, every person and every authority in the Federation of Nigeria is duty-bound to obey court orders. And as a law-abiding commission, we have always obeyed court orders. But we are confronted with situations in which a political party conducts its primaries. The name of a candidate is forwarded to the commission, and we publish the name of that candidate, and the logo of the party is on the ballot. But a few days to the election, you receive an order of court saying that the person whose name we published earlier is not the rightful candidate for the election. So in that case, what we do, in that case we substitute if the order is very clear. But sometimes the orders will say, INEC, don't publish the name of candidate A. You should publish the name of candidate B on condition that the political party submits the name of that candidate to the commission. So if the political party does not submit the name of candidate for that election to the commission, we can't just put any name. So in some instances in the recent election was conducted. The political party won, but who should we give the certificate of return to? Because the political party has not submitted the name of that candidate yet by court order. So we'll just leave the name of a candidate blank, say we are awaiting submission of the name of candidate by the party, and then under remarks, we put court order. Once that is sorted out, we issue the certificate of return. In that case, you don't have to do the election all over again. But it's a big challenge when court orders come very, very close to the election. It not only puts pressure on the commission, but I can imagine also it confuses the voters as well. That is a candidate that has been elected in a duly conducted primaries. That doesn't mean that that candidature cannot be challenged in court. It's challenged in court successfully, but the voters are used to a particular candidate for a particular party, and then 2 days to the election, they are told that it's another person. Or in fact, a few days to the election, they will be told that there is no candidate for that party. So it's a discussion that we need to have with the judiciary, but we'll always obey court orders. Where the political party which is on the ballot wins the election, but the name of the candidate is not very clearly determined before the election, we'll leave it blank and then put court order. By the time the courts finally decide who the rightful candidate is, we'll issue the certificate of return.